All right, we're live. It is the J&J Houston Sportscast. We are hours removed from the Texans winning against the Denver Broncos. We're 6-3 now. That is a 6-game winning streak after starting 0-3. But this was one of those games, James, where, you start off thinking this is going to be one I can enjoy. And then in the second half, things just go terribly wrong. We still won the game, by the way. But still, this was just another example of Bill O'Brien holding this team back. For those of you who don't know, if you're joining us for the first time or not, I'm John Fuentes. I'm here with my co-host, James Ray. This is the J&J Houston Sportscast. James, how you doing?
Oh, my God, man. Just when I think I've turned a corner and I see a team going the direction that we all think they can go, Bill O'Brien strikes.
I mean, are we even surprised at this point, honestly?
Okay, no, we're not surprised, but and we've talked about it many times on our other podcasts, and it's to the point to where you have to understand what's going on with our team, and I think no one gets it. No one seems to understand it because no one knows what the hell Bill O'Brien's thinking. Just when you think they're turning a corner, they're getting where they need to go. Next thing you know, I just can't. I can't. It's so. I went from 2 weeks in a row enjoying the game, enjoying watching the Texans game, to starting off good today, and then next thing you know, here we go. It's the same bullshit, abysmal play calling of Bill O'Brien. I'm sorry for my language, but this guy, I'm sorry, but there's no way you can defend Bill O'Brien right now.
No, and there's people doing it. There's people doing it.
Well, yeah, no. And for the record, Bill O'Brien is finally 37-36 as a head coach. He finally broke 500, ladies and gentlemen. Yay, Bill! All right.
One thing that I noticed, and I'm sure you noticed too, everyone noticed if you're on Twitter during the games, every first down is a run. Every first down. And you would think, okay, he's setting up play action for another first down. No, it's first down, run. First down, run. And my editor over at Texans Wire tweeted it out perfectly. He said, yeah, he's been setting up the play action for about 4 years now. And God, I mean, this guy, the play calling, how stubborn he is, how he wants to hype himself up as being – he acts like a douche after every win. I'm sorry. He just does. The way he talks to the media, the way he holds himself. I mean, he believes he's God's greatest gift to football, which amazes me considering, like you just brought up, he has one more win than he does losses. He is barely a winning coach. He was close to being a losing coach today, a coach with a losing record, almost, and that was because the Broncos lost the game. Houston didn't win it. The Broncos lost it. And Keenum, on that final drive, brought his team down, gave his team a chance to win, and they just didn't do it. O'Brien cost this team the game when they got in front and refused to keep his foot down on the pedal. He went conservative, as usual, continued to play conservative, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. All this man does is run the ball. With 2 all-pro receivers, a promising young franchise quarterback, and 2 promising tight ends, he decides to run the ball with Lamar Miller. I don't understand this logic. I never will. And when I can call the plays that you're about to run, as someone who is not educated in the deep areas of football the way this man supposedly is, you have an issue. The fact that we almost lost this game, I mean, we talked about it these past 2 weeks where the Jaguars win and the Miami win were the first wins we actually enjoyed because the rest were essentially handed to us. This was starting off as a win that I could enjoy, and it ended like one that was handed to us again. I can't enjoy this win. I can't.
I guess to echo off that, I mean, as a Texans fan, do you honestly feel comfortable going into playoffs? Do you honestly think that we're going to compete I just don't see it, man. I like the best thing. I told John this earlier. I feel like we're Cincinnati right now. Like we've got the players, we've got the talent. We just can't put it all together because our head coach can't pull his head out of his ass. And as good as Marvin Lewis has been in getting into the playoffs, he hasn't won a playoff game ever. I mean, at least Bill O'Brien's 1-2 in the playoffs. I guess you could give him that. But I mean, it's like an empty win. I know that sounds stupid. Look, a win's a win. 6 in a row is nothing to scoff at. I'm not blind to that. But at the same time, 3 of those wins were definitely handed to us.
Yeah.
One coach called a bad call on a game-winning drive that he shouldn't have called. It was a bad call. You know, the other one, I guess in some ways you could say we earned it, but realistically speaking, the coach on the other team screwed it up. Then again, look at this one. Like you just said, Case drove down the field, put his team in position to win, kicker shanked it. Boy, we either got a horseshoe up our ass or, you know, something, or the gods are smiling down on us, because at this particular point, I do not feel comfortable going, oh my God, yes, 6-3. We could work this. We could get into the playoffs. This is the AFC to have right now. I just can't do it right now, man.
Yeah.
It's to the point to where it's Wheel of Fortune. I know it's any given Sunday, basically, but for any team in the NFL, but for the teams who are really good, for the teams who are perennial powerhouses in the AFC or NFC, they get it done and they win, and then they win in convincing fashions. Yeah, they'll have a fluke win every now and then on an abysmal team that showed up to play that day, but we've had 3. That's insane. Half of our wins have been on flukes. You can't buy it, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not – there were some good spots by the players today, and, you know, there were some things that we will break down throughout the game as the show goes on, but this isn't the players. This is the coaching, plain and simple. I mean, we have the players. When you see – Deshaun Watson had a great game today. He did. When you look at the numbers, he had a great game. There were some things that we can nitpick, but he had a great game. Demaryius Thomas, for having as little time he did to learn the playbook and to be used the way he was, he had a decent game. Hopkins had a good game. You know, our tight ends were involved in the offense. The offensive line played a lot better than I assumed they would against Chubb and Von Miller. Lamb did a great job against Von Miller today. He really did. Now, Von got a sack, but that was when Lamb got hurt for a bit and was out of the game. But the coaching, if this team is used to their ability, this team is not a running football team. This is not a running football team. You have 2 all-pro receivers and Deshaun Watson. You need to be passing that ball much more often than you already are. And this game should have been, like you and I predicted, this game was going to get into the 30s for the Texans, I believe. That we were going to score 30-plus points, and we should have. Especially with the players we have on this roster. We didn't, because Coach O'Brien continuously wants to pound the rock and establish this team as a running football, with a running football culture, which we just don't have the personnel to establish that. Our personnel allows us to establish a great passing attack. A great passing attack. And we're being hindered by this man's stubbornness and reluctance to change his style of play calling rather than to accustom his playbook to Deshaun Watson and let Deshaun Watson play his game. And I'm going to say this. This team can win a Super Bowl. This year, this team can win a Super Bowl, but we will not win anything with Coach O'Brien at the helm.
I actually agree with you. I agree with that completely. I think that we have a talented roster, like most other echelon teams right now. I think we have at least the talent or more talent than them, and we can't put it all together. I don't understand it. It all falls back on coaching, man. If the player is offsides or he does a false start, yeah, that's on the player, right? I get that. You can't only coach them so much before they get out there. But when the coach is controlling the offense, when the coach is making the personnel decisions on who to play and who not to play, you can't take that from him. You just can't. I don't sit there and talk to me about Calamente, whatever that fool's name, Suafilo 2.0. That guy can't stay healthy. He's a walking injury prone. It's like watching Fuller on the O line. It's a nightmare. At least Fuller produces. He don't produce anything. I mean, then you put Rankins in there, and I understand injuries have a lot to do with it. But I go back to when Rankin was even put on this team. I would rather have David Quisenberry than Rankin at this point, because at least I can rely on Hugh doing something. Rankin can't do anything. He's been abysmal this whole year. There's not been one bright spot about his game to warrant him coming into the game. I'm sorry.
Let's address this because we do interact with the people who watch this show when they're in the chat. Elver Galarga, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that. First off, thank you for watching the show. Elver says, dude, what are you talking about? Coaching problems. If you send me to buy a Coke and I bring back milk, is it your fault? Well, the problem with that, Elver, is that this team is built to pass. Like we just mentioned, you have 2 all-pro wide receivers in Deshaun Watson, and you have Lamar Miller as your running back. This offensive line has proven to be decent in the run game, and they've proven to be decent in the pass game, but they are not going to be able to go up against elite defensive lines like today and run the football. They couldn't do it. This team needs to be passing the ball, and ultimately the play calling is on Bill O'Brien's shoulders. He has the personnel to have one of the best offenses in the league, and I believe he does have one of the best offenses in the league. He just doesn't use them to their capability, to their full capability. He wants to run the ball constantly when he has the personnel to have one of the best passing attacks in the game. There's a reason the Saints aren't pounding the football down your throats every game, because the Saints have Drew Brees and great receivers. And yeah, they have Kamara, who's a great running back. But there's a reason that they march down the field with their passing game and not with their running game. Because they have the personnel to do so. We have the personnel to do the exact same thing. But O'Brien refuses to do so for reasons I couldn't tell you. James, what do you think about it?
It's like I said with the false start thing. I mean, I've already addressed it. I mean, it's the same concept. I mean, yeah, I can teach him not to watch the ball and to not be offsides or false start, but if it's on the field, there's nothing I can do about it. But at the same time, as a coach, I have to know the strengths and weaknesses of my players. If I know you're a moron and you're going to go do your own thing and I send you to the store to get Coke and you bring back milk, well, then that's on me because I should have maybe put someone else in that position other than you. So, yeah, that's on coaching. I don't know anyone who is the leader of men, and I've said this many times before, that does not take responsibility for when their people screw up. Furthermore, take responsibility for it and then make sure it doesn't happen again. Not keep going over and over and over after every press conference saying, yeah, well, I just got to coach better. Or the famous, I don't know, but something's got to change. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, Elver responds with, yes, and if we had full... Oh, well, first he said, no, you only have one at this time. I'm assuming he's referring to all pro receivers. And yes, if we had Fuller, but we don't. We only have Hopkins. That's the only target we have. That's arguable. I mean, today, Demaryius Thomas came in with, a few days to learn the playbook before playing. He had 3 catches for 61 or 63 yards. I can't remember the exact number, but he showed he can be a great part of this offense. He's a great receiver. You can't deny that. He is a great receiver. And yeah, he's not going to be Will Fuller. He's not that young and he's not that fast, but he's a great receiver and he is an all-pro receiver. He's been to several Pro Bowls in the past. He is an all-pro receiver.
And furthermore, to kind of echo on that, he's a possession receiver.
Yeah. He's not.
I don't know if you know there are different types of receivers. If I ever had to say now would be the time to pass more than ever when you're in like crucial situations instead of running the ball, now would be the time more so in the past, because Will Fuller, even though he's gotten better every year, still has problems getting off the line. Yeah. Thomas does not have problems getting off the line. There's no one that can body that man up in the NFL. And if you think that, then I don't know how else to help you. That just doesn't make any sense because the guy is going to get open and he's going to catch balls. And I'm not saying he's a world beater, and I'm not saying he's, an all-pro this year. But like John said, he's proven himself in the past. He's got a new change of scenery. He's going to have, 2 weeks to get ready for the next game, essentially. So he's going to know the playbook more. We might even see more of him.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. But then again, you have to think about it. After those 3 catches, he was non-existent. Why didn't you try to get him the ball more? Because you wanted to run the ball more.
Yeah.
You wanted to milk the clock. You wanted to play not to lose, and you almost lost.
Yeah.
You should have lost, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's the problem I have, and one of the biggest problems, and I'm going to speak on this before we get to the next topic, and this goes to anyone who's watching in the stream right now. If you've never seen any of my videos, I am a big, humongous fan. I love the Texans. But when they screw up or when they do something, I'm not going to overlook it because I'm a homer. I'm just not. I never will. If they do something bad, even if it's players that I really love, I will not do it. I will not do it. So you just have to understand that going into our videos is that I'm not going to sit there and sugarcoat shit, and I'm definitely not going to sit there and agree with everyone, especially when I see it with my own eyes. It doesn't mean that my mind can't be changed. I'm a man of my word. When I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. I'll eat my crow like I do. But in this particular point, I can't do that because I've seen it for 5 freaking years of the same crap over and over and over again. And there's no more excuses for Bill. I've defended Bill for 4 years. I can't do it anymore. I can't. I've been defending him for 4 years, and I can't do it no more. I've run out of excuses to defend him with. I just can't do it. By the way, Dallas Keuchel won Gold Glove.
Really?
Yep, it just came out.
All right then. We can talk about that a little later. There's definitely some Keuchel stuff we can talk about, but just to we'll address Elver one more time because he had a few more things to say. But he doesn't know the offense, so it's extremely limited. Then he followed up with your comments. He said, "No, Ray, it's because that's the only 3 plays he learned." Well, yes, that comment's essentially making our point. He had a semi-good performance with 3 plays, 60-something yards on 3 catches. Now, imagine what this guy can do when he knows the full playbook and he's not confused the way he was in the 4th quarter, which caused us to use a timeout. When this guy knows the full playbook, he will definitely be an impact on this team greater than he was today. We'll move on now because we'll come back to Demaryius. We're definitely going to talk about. Let
me add on to that. Sure. I find it hard to believe that a seasoned pro like Thomas only knows 3 to 5 plays. But I don't know if you've ever played football, man, but you could pretty much learn 10 plays pretty easily, no matter what position you're in. So I don't know if I can agree with you on that one, man.
Yeah. But we'll move on. We'll go top to bottom here. Let's start with Deshaun Watson. If we look at Deshaun Watson's stats today, Deshaun was 17 for 24, 213 passing yards, and 2 touchdowns. He also rushed for 6 carries, 38 yards. He averaged 6.3 yards a carry. Deshaun did his thing today, man. He looked happy. He looked like he was having fun, as per usual. That's what you want to see out of him. And, when he was allowed to pass the ball, he looked good, missed a few spots. I think I'm not going to blame all of the sacks today on the offensive line because Deshaun definitely held onto the ball a little too long.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, so I can only probably put one of those sacks on the offensive line, maybe. But yeah.
And it has to be on Nick Martin.
But yeah, Deshaun played great, man. He played great. I think that he needs to get a little more opportunities to throw the ball, especially when you have DeAndre and Demaryius now. And the tight ends are really showing up. They're really showing up. And the first drive of the game was very evident of what this team is capable of. Very evident of what this team is capable of. It was so refreshing to see an opening drive with a score in the red zone. That made me extremely happy. And they can do that. They can really do that constantly and regularly if given the opportunity. But I digress. What do you think, Ray?
I think Thomas is a matchup nightmare for the red zone.
Yeah.
Sure. I think he's just – I think he's got great potential. I just think he needs to put it all together. The first drive of the game, I was ready for another kind of Dolphin game. I was ready for Sean to get into a rhythm, and
If only.
I was like, "Oh, okay, here we go." And then DT came out of nowhere with the reception and on a screen and took it for about 40 yards down the field. I mean, I was like, "Wow, okay, here we go. Let's move." And then Hop started getting into it, and I'm like, "Oh, well, this is getting good," But again, man, I hate saying it goes back to the play calling, man. And I gotta say, man, I don't know. I'm not. I've got to be honest. I've defended Lamar Miller for a while, but I'm starting to really get tired of Lamar Miller. He does a lot of things really well, but he doesn't do one thing really good, like to separate him from. In other words, for the kind of money that we're paying him, I just don't think he's worth it. In all honesty, what do you have, like 12, 14 carries for like 30 yards? I mean, it was horrible.
Alfred Blue actually outran Lamar Miller today. Lamar had 12 carries for 21 yards. He averaged 1.8 yards a carry. Blue rushed for 15 carries, 39 yards. He averaged 2.6 yards a carry.
Oh, so Alfred Blue's average. That's outstanding. Great. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So just for wanting to be a running team, we don't have the runner to be a running team.
Yeah.
Maybe if Foreman was back, I would probably feel differently. But at this point, man, we can't be a running team with the backs we've got. It's that simple. I don't care what anyone says. I've seen enough of Miller to say, okay, yeah, he's not great, but he's definitely, above average, but he is not worth the money we're paying him, man. I'm sorry, even though it could be a lot more, but still, I mean, I don't know. I just, Watson played good. Again, he did what he does best. He just tries to control the offense, tries to limit the amount of mistakes, makes plays when he can, and tries to make the W and tries to get the W. Stayed healthy or is staying healthy. That's always a plus for me. Anytime I can see that man run out or walk off the field, and it's at the end of the game, I'm happy, because without him, this team goes nowhere.
Yeah, Mr. Mediocre says it, pretty well. He wraps it up pretty well in the chat.
Mr. Mediocre. Let me tell you about Mr. Mediocre. I love that guy, man. That's one of my old dudes, man. He used to be El Sticky Layer, man. But Mr. Mediocre. I love that guy, man.
He says Lamar is average. In order for Lamar to be good, he needs a dominant line. I think if we cut Lamar, we save like $6 million in cap. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And another thing, and this goes with coaching and using your players to the best of their positions, Lamar is very effective in the passing game. He does not drop passes often. And when he gets the ball in his hands, he can make plays. And he did it today. He had I think Watson checked it down to him, and he very nearly converted a 3rd and long for a first down. I think he was just about a yard shy. But that just goes to show you, we have the personnel for a passing attack. And O'Brien just wants to run the ball, and I don't understand. Now, like you said, if Foreman was back, I could get on board with running the ball a little more. Right. But he's not back, and he probably won't be back till maybe around week 12 or 13, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, I don't understand the play calling. And, we're going to break down the game, position by position, but it's all going to go back to coaching when it's all said and done. I mean, the guys, for the most part, did their job today, and they did it well.
Right.
The coaching just was a huge disservice to them today. When we talk about the receivers, Hopkins, as usual, he was great, had a great game. Demaryius, for the amount of time he was there, for the amount of time he had to learn the playbook, played very well. Tight ends, very involved in the offense, especially on the opening drive with the touchdown. And the offensive line, I'm gonna let you talk about this in depth because you're the line guy, but man, the offensive line really exceeded my expectations today and are making me feel a lot better about the season going forward, because for the most part, they handled Von Miller and Nick Chubb probably as good as you can with the group of guys that were out there today.
Agreed. The only problems I have with the offensive line is those players that Bill O'Brien falls in love with. Basically, the Calamentes, the Rankins, the people. To me, the guys that have no business being out there. To me, there's no reason why Clemente should be starting over Mance. There's no reason. I've seen enough to know that that's just not that shouldn't happen. Rankin is not a tackle. I don't care what anyone says. This guy is one of the worst. Let me put it this way: when Derek Newton was going through that one season where he gave up 13 and a half sacks, and I used to, on my old videos, I used to bag on Derek Newton so bad. He gave up 13 and a half sacks in one season. Or I'm willing comfortably to say that Derek Newton is better than Rankin at that point, to where Rankin is now. I don't care if he's a rookie. To me, I don't care if he's a rookie. I don't care if he's playing out of position. The point is, he's at that position. He's not taking advantage. He's not taking advantage of the opportunity. But Bill O'Brien falls in love with players that practice well. He must be one of them.
Yeah. And then let's talk about defense. Defense, about as good as you can be. Again, like we said, JJ, Clowney. I mean, they did their thing, man.
What can you say, dude? They just do it. It seems like they do it every week now. I don't even have anything to complain about either one of them.
Yeah,
honestly,
you really can. And one thing I'll point out, because the tackling as a whole was pretty bad. I will say that, and it usually is. But Kareem Jackson, my God, open field tackles for this guy. He was destroying it out there today. It was amazing to see.
I've been saying it for 3 damn years. Put that man at safety and watch him work. Yep. And I'll be damned if he's not one of the best safeties playing this year. It's not the best safety playing this year. He is just lighting it up. And man, he had a killer game. I mean, he got me hyped on some attack. Like, man, this is what I've been waiting for Kareem Jackson to be at safety for a long time. And again, it just feels good seeing him at a position of flourishing. So I'm just, man, you can't say enough about his performance today.
What did you think about that supposed helmet to helmet call on the Honey Badger?
Oh my God!
It was clearly
I'll
shoulder.
Let you go first because
it was clearly shoulder, clear as day. I think it was a clean hit. We talked about it last week. You went on a little bit of a rant about the pussification of the sport. I mean, this just goes to show you, man, this is football. You're going to get hit, and he hit you clean with the shoulder. If this was college, I'm not even sure. Maybe it gets called in college, but I don't know, man. I mean, the fact that was even a penalty, I was pretty hot about that.
Yeah, it's like you said. I went on a rant. If you haven't seen that rant, go to last week's video. You're gonna hit someone. It was a shoulder tackle, man. There was no reason for that to even go that far. Anyways, next question. I'm TOing it. Next question.
All right. I mean, there's not really much the defense did what you can do, as much as you can do against this team. They played great. They got tired towards the end, of course. Case, drove down the field and they missed the field goal. We'll address Mr. Mediocre. He has another, statement in the chat. He said, it should be Fulton at left guard and Mance at right guard.
Agreed.
And then he also said, if Kareem ain't all pro, I'm going to be pissed. Yeah. I mean, he's having a hell of a season this year. There's no reason he shouldn't be.
He's having a killer season.
But next week we have, not next week. Next week we have a bye. Next week we're gonna talk about 2 things here next week.
Oh, please, let's do it. I can't wait. I'm so psyched for this, man.
So first we'll address this. Next week the Texans are on a bye. Usually our episodes are after the Texans games. We talk a little of Astros as well, which we'll get to Keuchel and some free agency stuff later. But we talk about Astros, we talk about Rockets. But next week, the Texans, it's a huge gap of our show. And they don't play. They're on a bye, which allows Demaryius to, learn some more of that playbook. But
maybe he'll learn 20 plays this time.
But to fill in the void of the Texans not playing, we have a special little segment that we're going to do. Me and Ray will be doing a fantasy all-time draft, if you will. We will be picking our favorite players of all time. Every player's open. Of course, there's some exceptions. Like, you can't put Earl Campbell at fullback. You can't draft Aaron Hernandez. You can't, do anything stupid. But that's what we're going to be doing next week for the episode. We'll be doing our fantasy draft, our, all-time favorite teams. And there'll be some debates. There'll be some snagging of other people's players. And, we'll have a good little discussion. But this is something we've been talking about for a few weeks now on the show, and I'm really excited to get to it.
Well, and the key to this, what you guys aren't understanding for people who are here, tell your friends, tell your family members to get on. It's going to be interactive.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna see, like, we're gonna rely on the people in the chat to vote on who they think has the better lineup.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great, man. I can't wait, dude. Oh my god, I got such a lineup. It's crazy, but we're gonna do it with rules. There's gonna be certain rules, like you mentioned. We're also it's gonna be kind of a round robin draft. So he would draft first, and I would draft, and then I would draft again, and he would draft, and we're just gonna go position by position. We're not gonna make it, okay, well, I drafted a quarterback in the first round. You drafted a receiver in the first round. No, we're going to go by position. Yeah. We will have a fullback. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to have H-backs or anything like that, So, like, you can't have Gronkowski as an H-back, or, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can't have T.O. as a tight end, or, there's things that are going to be there, and then we're going to do a football one. Then we're going to do a baseball one. Then we're going to do a basketball one. And I got to be honest with you, the basketball one to me will be the most interesting one. The other one is everyone kind of has a good idea of what their all-time team would be. But the one thing that we're going to do on it is we're going to make sure that when we draft, we explain why we drafted a player and how they fit the system that you're drafting them in. So if you're a power option or a wishbone team, obviously you're going to probably get a scrambling quarterback, or if you're, West Coast team, you'd probably get like a Joe Montana or something like that. Same thing for baseball. You would have to, the player has to play at least that position for at least 2 seasons, legitimately 2 seasons. You can't have like Pete Rose playing catcher. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't have like, there's going to be, we'll explain the rules as we do it, but man, we're looking forward to it, man. I hope it's going to be a blast.
Mr. Mediocre asked in the chat, punters, kickers, and long snappers too. Yes.
No, punters, kickers, not long snappers, because that's just stupid.
Yeah, we're not going to do a special teams team, but we will have punters and kickers. Obviously.
Yeah, we'll have returners. We'll have a returner, but
I know. Man, you're changing the game on me, Ray, and I'm getting excited.
No, man, you have no idea, man. This is gonna be a blast, man. Like, for baseball, we'll have a DH. We won't, we'll just keep the DH on there.
Yeah. But I'm really looking for. Oh, by the way, April says that Jackson wants you to draft Ben 10.
What did she say?
That Jackson wants you to draft Ben 10 for your football team.
Oh my God, that kid loves that stupid cartoon. We bought him that stupid watch that he has. Oh my God, dude. He just wears that thing like it's some kind of amulet of power. It's just, it's cute as hell, but my God, man, boy.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the fantasy draft, and obviously we're, going to be doing it for baseball and basketball down the line. But for now, we're going to be doing it for football, and that will be during the Texans bye week, before they come back and play the Washington Redskins. But usually, I don't know what to do with myself during the bye week when the Texans aren't playing, because I'm missing my team play. I'll watch the other games, but you have a better Sunday when your team's actually playing and winning.
Right.
But Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to. Actually, I've been looking forward to this bye week for a few. I'm like, oh, I can't wait till the Texans aren't playing so we can actually get this done and do it because I'm really excited for it. But
it's gonna be awesome, man.
But Washington today, I believe they came up short. Did they lose their game today?
I'm not sure.
I'm gonna have to check that right now because I was watching their game. I believe they played Atlanta. I think they might have beaten Atlanta.
Did they play at Atlanta?
I actually want to say that the game was in Washington. Here, I have it right here.
Yeah, if they played at Atlanta, it's a loss.
No, they got trounced at home, the Redskins, so it was 38-14.
Damn.
Julio Jones actually had his first touchdown since 2017 and during that game. That helped my fantasy team a bit. But Washington, first off, just before we give our predictions, what do you think about the matchup of Washington? Because the Texans have historically not played very well when Alex Smith is quarterbacking against them. So, what do you think about that matchup right off the bat?
That's you said it. Anytime Houston plays Alex Smith, oh my God, man! It's like there's just that one player that's always seemingly has Houston's number. That's him. He just, and for some reason he runs way more on Houston than any other team he plays that year. It's insane. So, in all honesty, if you can control Alex Smith, I think they got a great shot.
Yeah. I think about the same. From the little I got to see of that game, I was already thinking about how Houston would match up with them.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong, Adrian Peterson. Historically the Texans have had his number. I can't remember a time that Adrian Peterson absolutely ran all over. Actually, that year he went over 2,000 yards. We were one of the few games that he didn't go over 100 yards rushing. So,
yeah, I think he had like 72 yards or something like that, and he had a lot of carries that game too.
Yeah, so we pretty much shut him down that game. Alex Smith, like you said, he turns into this rushing guru when he plays us, and I believe look. With the Texans, historically, things pretty much stay the same. So I'm assuming that Alex Smith is going to have a really good game against us as well. But, I can't – that defense of Washington is a bit of a wild card because they just traded for HaHa Clinton-Dix. They have Norman, and they have our old friend DJ Swearinger as well, who has been – he's been playing all right over there. But I don't know, man. This is a bit of a, I think it was mentioned in the chat just right now. Yeah, Mr. Mediocre, Texans do bad versus NFC teams.
Yeah,
they do, and that's something that we should worry a little bit about heading into not next week, in week 10 or week 11. But right off the bat, James, what are you thinking about the matchup against the Redskins defense?
I think the only receiver that I've ever heard Josh Norman talk good about or have mutual respect for is Hawkins. Every other time he'll talk crap about the receiver he's going against, but I think it was this year. I think it was on this year's top NFL Top 100. Josh Norman was on there saying how incredible Hawkins is. So I honestly think Hawkins to make Norman look really stupid. I really do. HaHa Clinton-Dix, I don't see him being a big X factor on their defense. I just don't see him contributing too much. I mean, maybe he will, but I just, the way our tight ends and our receivers are playing, I'm not really worried about it. But this goes back to what we've been talking about this whole time, the run game. If we can't run the ball, it's going to be a long freaking game. Because that means Norman and them are going to sit back and they're just going to have a field day if Deshaun, gets a wild hair up his butt and decides to go deep and throws another pick in the end zone. Again, me personally, I'm not. It's going to be a good game. If you were to tell me, going into the Washington game, your team is looking pretty decent. I would say even if we played a pretty flawless game, it would still be a pretty good game. It would be a pretty close game. I just think that individual matchups can kind of go either way on both sides, quite frankly. And the big thing is who's going to spy Alex Smith.
Yeah.
That's kind of, again, to me, if you limit Alex Smith, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah. Well, let's do our usual predictions for. Well, this is a bye week, so did you want to wait and give our predictions after we do our draft, or did you want to go ahead and do them right now?
Yeah, because I want to see what the injury report comes after next week after they play.
Okay. So we just previewed it a little bit. So we'll give our predictions on next week's episode. But was there anything else you want to talk about Houston, the Texans, before we move on?
Nah, we've killed it.
Oh, well, Mr. Mediocre says in the chat, I'm scared Swearinger will play angry against his former team and go headhunting.
And even if he does, he'll shoulder tackle him and bounce off him like he always does.
Yeah. I'm honestly not too mad about, losing Swearinger. Looking back on it, I'm really not too upset.
It worked out for both sides, honestly. He's had a decent career. Not a great career, but he's had a decent career. So, I hope he does well.
Same here. Well, let's move on to the Astros. You mentioned it earlier. I didn't even get to read it, but apparently Keuchel is the Golden Glove winner, and I believe there was a pickup in free agency. I think the Astros claimed someone off waivers. Let me see. I saw it right here. Chris Herman off waivers from the Mariners.
Really?
Yeah, that was about 2 days ago. But let's talk about Keuchel first. What do you think about Keuchel being a Golden Glove winner?
Not shocking. He's got great pitching form. When he releases the ball, he's in fielding position. It does not surprise me. He palms a ball well. He gets rid of it well. When he's got someone lightning running down, it doesn't surprise me at all.
Just right off the bat, because we made a qualifying offer. Obviously, that was just to get a draft pick for wherever he signs next. But where do you see Keuchel likely ending up when it's all said and done?
Honestly, you're not going to believe this, but honestly, Oakland. Think about it. Just think about it. It makes the most sense. Against his former team, they're on the uprise. He would be pretty much, he'd probably pretty much be their ace.
Yeah.
He's going to want to go somewhere where he's the ace because he won't say it, but I feel like he feels like he got slanted when Verlander came here. They took over the ace position basically, and then Cole started being lights out. And he essentially dropped from 1 to 3.
Yeah.
Within a season. Yeah. I really think he's going to go. He's either going to go somewhere where they're like a contender immediately, like, oh my God, I hate saying this, but like a Boston or something like that, which I don't think they need them. But they probably would.
Yeah.
But I honestly think Oakland makes the most sense. If not Oakland, then maybe he doesn't like hitting, so I don't see him going to the NL. So I would say Oakland.
With Kershaw re-signing, I was actually afraid that the Astros would go after him. I believe that he is one of the most overrated pitchers in history. Look, I'm not going to take anything away from him.
So overrated.
I'm not going to take anything away from him. In the playoffs, he's terrible. He just is. In the regular season, he's a great pitcher, but he plays against lousy teams regularly. You're just not getting the same competition that you are in the American League. So I would put him up there as one of the most overrated guys in the history of the game, just simply because of who he's been playing against and the fact that he's not great in the playoffs. He's actually kind of terrible. I was actually afraid that Houston would be stupid enough to go after him. I really was. So I'm glad that he did re-sign. But as far as who is left and who you expect to be available going forward, do you see the Astros making any big moves in free agency?
If they do, it'll be for a catcher. It'll be either for Will Ramos or JP Realmuto from Miami. Maybe. I don't see them going all out for too much, honestly. They're with the farm system developing as it always does for Houston nowadays. I don't see them going after a pitcher of any sort. And if they do, they'll probably go for a left-handed arm for the bullpen, or like a low relief left-handed arm, maybe. But it's not going to be a big splash signing, in my personal opinion.
Do you think they even need it?
Not really. Well, not with their farm system being what it is. I would honestly think that if it was me, and again, if it was me, I'm not Lunau, and Lunau has proven to be a great GM, so I can't bash on him in any way, shape, or form. He brought me a championship. I mean, let's just be real. Yeah. But if it was me, I'm kind of in the same agreement. Josh Ennis said it the other day, as a matter of fact. I would be willing to part ways with Tucker. I would be willing to part ways with Tucker and send him to Miami with a pick to get JP Real Muto. I think that guy is a catcher that is vastly underrated, that would come to this lineup and just fit perfectly all the way around. He is a 5-tool catcher, and you don't see those very much. Period.
What went wrong in the postseason? I mean, pitching kind of just, I don't know. I could, after the Cleveland series, I was riding high, and then as soon as we hit Boston, I mean, I don't know what happened to the pitching. Pitching was terrible. And do you just put that off to saying, well, Boston has great hitters, or did they just fall off? Did just no one show up?
Well, considering they went on to win a World Series, I'd say they've got pretty decent hitters.
Yeah.
I don't think that they were such world beaters to get to our aces like they did. I also think that AJ Hinch having a short leash didn't help any. I also think AJ Hinch giving someone too long of time out there that has limited playoff experience was not a smart idea. But at the same time, we ran into ourselves. We ran into Boston, a Boston team that was the Houston team from last year. It's that simple. That's the best way I can put it. Just the stars aligned. All their hitters were hitting. Their 2-out hitting was incredible in the Houston-Boston series. We were like 5 of 39 with runners in scoring position. You're not going to win like that, especially against team. All of a sudden, David Price learned how to pitch in the postseason. Yeah. You can't hold that against them anymore, because he used to be another Kershaw. But yeah, hey, it is what it is. They won. Congratulations to them. And the way I look at it, we didn't win the World Series, but we lost to the eventual world champs. That's the best way I could put it. And I definitely think we're better than LA. So we finished second in the league. You know what I mean? Oh, I have no sympathy for LA. I don't care. I hope an earthquake and a volcano hit at the same time and that whole place falls in the ocean. I hope it turns into a Tool song where it's Arizona Bay. You know what I mean? That's just like I just LA is just, it's like New York. I just can't stand either one of those cities, man. Yeah, I just can't stand them.
What needs to change for Houston to get back to the World Series next year?
They need a consistent catcher. Period. I mean, I think Correa will turn it around. I think he was just banged up all year. Altuve being banged up didn't help. But you got the mix of Maldonado and McCann. That's why they didn't pick up McCann's option. That's why they let him go. He's not, great veteran presence, but he's just not getting it done anymore. We need an everyday catcher, someone who's going to need a break every now and then, but for the most part is the catcher for the Houston Astros, someone that can hit in that 5, 6, or 7 hole, someone who can hit for power, who can hit for RBIs, that can run a little bit. Again, Real Muto for Miami. I can't stress it enough. If they get him, I'm feeling really good about where Houston is going to be next year. Even though I feel good about it now, but I feel really good about it. I would be elated if they went and pulled the trigger on that. Not a big fan of Will Ramos, for the record.
Well, with that being said, that's pretty much all we got to talk about so far. Ray, was there anything you want to mention before we start asking the guys in the chat if they got any questions?
Actually, yeah. Y'all gonna have to bear with me for a second. We're gonna do kind of a screen change here. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Hold on. So we have a sponsor for our channel, and I'm going to show you the poster. I'm going to let you see it for about 30 seconds, and then just kind of go from there, okay? Maybe can you see that? Because I can't tell.
Yeah.
Okay. It's HempWorks. It's my wife. She works. She's an independent affiliate for HempWorks. It's just a CBD oil that helps with stress and pain and stuff like that. It has very limited to no THC on it, so you're not going to pop on piss tests or anything like that. If you have any questions, you can always go to CBD for you and me at 7224@gmail.com. Our Hemp-A-Lot Network CBD oil. It's a Facebook app for all your needs and stuff like that. Go and check it out, man. My wife has severe back problems, and she's been taking it for about 2 months now, and she's able to move around way more than she ever has been. I was very skeptical of her starting it, but she believed in the product so much, and it's helped her so much that she's become an affiliate and she's starting to sell it. So you guys, please go check it out. Again, man, I'll show you it real quick. It's HempWorks, hempworks.com at A Welch. That's my wife. Just please go check it out and just show some love. My wife will answer any questions you have. I mean, they not only have it just for drops, but they have like stuff for dogs. Like our dog has chronic ear infections because of his breed. We put a couple drops in there and he's good to go for at least 8 hours. They have coffee and like, I think they even have like cookie dough and shit. And they have all kinds of stuff in there, man. So go check it out. If you have any questions, again, you can either direct them to me or you can just go there and direct them to her. So thank you guys, but that's all I got.
All right, and with that being said, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the chat and we'll get to them. And I guess now we wait for questions.
Yeah.
But while we wait, just to run back on the fantasy draft. So let's just establish at least some ground rules first, so they know what to expect heading into next week. We already established Aaron Hernandez is not draftable.
Yeah.
So what should we not draft guys who have I guess a controversial past who are now deceased? Is Junior Seau available? I mean, like, what's the cutoff point here?
I honestly don't think there should be a cutoff. I mean, if you want to draft Aaron Hernandez, be my guest, but I can name at least 10 tight ends that were better than him throughout the NFL history. So
yeah, for sure.
You know, to me, if you want to draft someone like Barry Bonds, you know, hey, I played baseball just as much as I played football in my life, and I can tell you right now, for what that man did, not on home runs, but walks by itself, the amount of walks that guy had, I mean, you have to have a killer eye. You have to have really, really good play discipline. And considering what he was doing, yeah, Barry Bonds is a badass. And you got to think, before he got all roided up, he was still the MVP of the league for 2 years. So, I mean, you just got to take it. Just, I guess, for whoever you're going to draft or whoever we decide to draft, you have to keep in mind why you're drafting them, where you're drafting them, and where they're going to be. Like, for example, for baseball, like Barry Bonds would be I'm not saying this is going to be it because Barry Bonds will not be my right fielder. But let's say I'm drafting Barry Bonds. He's going to play right field and he's going to bat third in my lineup. And it's the Barry Bonds from his Pirate years, not his San Francisco years. Just things like that. You know, why did you draft him? Well, obviously he's plate discipline. He was a 5-tool player. And, you know, before he got all beanie babied out, he looked, you know, he was a badass.
Okay, I don't mean to completely take this is completely off topic, but this is a sports show, and I know some people were interactive with the fight talk last week. I just have to say this, okay? Floyd Mayweather is going to be fighting in MMA. This just broke from SportsCenter. Floyd Mayweather, I'm going to read the SportsCenter breaking news thing that I just got on my phone. This is legit. This is from SportsCenter, confirmed on Twitter. Breaking: Floyd Mayweather announced on Sunday night at a Tokyo press conference that he will participate in an MMA fight in the Rizin Fighting Federation on December 31st in Japan. So Floyd Mayweather, the greatest boxer of all time, who is nearly middle-aged, if not already middle-aged. I don't know the man's age. I know he just whooped up on Conor McGregor not too long ago. But He will be fighting in MMA. I will say this. I have been covering MMA for years. I'm a sports writer, for those of you who don't know. This man goes up against anyone who has been fighting for at least he's 41. That's Third Coast Sports TV, by the way. He came in earlier saying, "What's good? Daddy's home." Thank you, Third Coast, for letting me know.
That's Wink.
He's 41, yeah.
That's my boy Wink, man.
If this man steps into the cage with anyone who's been fighting for, I will say, training MMA for 9 months, he will get destroyed. Anyone who has even the slightest skill in jiu-jitsu, he will tap out, I guarantee it, in under 2 minutes. And it's going to be sweet justice for all the taunting. Look, I'm no Conor McGregor fan, but all the taunting he was giving McGregor about tapping out, he has no idea what he's talking about. So this will be sweet justice. I guarantee you he will lose by submission in the first round in this fight. I promise you. And I will bet any amount of money on that.
So I have a question for you. Do you think that, let's say McGregor and Floyd fight MMA, do you think that fight goes differently?
If McGregor and Mayweather fight in MMA, that fight is over in under a minute, and Conor McGregor destroys him on the ground. He will take him down, he will choke him, and he will make the man tap out so fast. And even at that, Conor can do whatever he wants with Floyd inside the cage. If he wants to knock him out, he'll knock him out. If he wants to take him down and make him tap, he'll make him tap. If he wants to take him down and batter him on the floor, he'll do that. Look, one thing that people don't realize, whenever you're in a street fight and you see someone kick, those kicks, if you know what you're doing, can be brutal. If you know how to leg kick somebody, I promise you, the first leg kick Conor McGregor lands on Floyd Mayweather, his face is he is not going to know what the hell just happened to him.
Yeah, I was watching some weird Facebook. It was just showing best knockouts in MMA with kicks. And there was a kick that I think it was in Japan. And this big dude really looked like Bolo from like, you know what I'm saying? He looked like Bolo from Kickboxer, you know what I'm saying? Like this big Asian dude. He's coming at this he looked like a monk. And this monk did this spinning roundhouse kick to the solar plex, and this dude launched like 5 foot back, and then you could actually literally see his chest caving in, like from punctured ribs and lung. I was like, oh my God, he killed that dude. Some of the kicks that I've seen, I saw a guy get kicked in the back of the head. That's on that same thing. A guy came around with a spinning, looked like a spinning punch. And because I don't know anything about MMA, as you probably don't know. But I was watching, he came around with a spinning punch, and that guy ducked under it and kicked him with his heel, like right there on his temple. The dude just went down like in 2 seconds. He was out. I thought he killed him. The way he fell was not a normal knockout. I mean, he just looked stone cold dead. Like I was like, oh, he's fucking dead. He's not getting up.
Yeah, so it's a brutal sport, man. But Third Coast, you're gonna have to elaborate on your statement. I'm not quite sure what you're saying, but you said McGregor doesn't even have the punching power when he's fought way harder punchers in boxers, and Conor only kicks to measure distance. If your argument is that Conor doesn't have punching power, my friend, you need to look at a lot more of his MMA fights, because he's knocked out the likes of Chad Mendez, Jose Aldo, Eddie Alvarez. Those 3 guys are some of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time. So he definitely has punching power. Yes, he uses his kicks to measure distance, but what I'm saying is even his mediocre kicks, such as leg kicks or a kick to the body, if he lands that against a novice and Floyd Mayweather, he will be flustered beyond belief. Floyd has fought better punchers in his career than Conor will ever fight. Yeah, that's true, but that's in boxing. We're talking about MMA. Conor's stamina in MMA is better than it is in boxing. He showed that against Khabib Nurmagomedov, who was grappling him for 4 rounds. He looked like he could have gone to the 5th. He wasn't exhausted. He was just simply outclassed. Floyd has fought better punchers in his career than well, yeah. Again, the distance, everything about striking in boxing and MMA is completely different. So trust me, Floyd steps into the cage against Conor. It's Conor's world. He can take him out any way he pleases. But I won't stress on this too much because, again, we're not a fighting podcast. We're a Houston sports podcast. But I just wanted to bring that up because it just came across my news feed, and it's pretty big news. I'm very interested, actually, to look more into this after the show's over to see exactly who will be fighting and stuff like that. But back to our draft. Sorry, back to our draft. Okay, we've established that we can pretty much draft everybody. The only true rules, though, would be we can't place players out of position. Like I mentioned earlier, you can't put Earl Campbell at fullback or put Rob Gronkowski at wide receiver or something crazy like that.
Yeah. I totally agree.
And then it'll be draft style, of course, and you want to go by position. So what kind of order were you thinking for that?
We'll just start with the offense because the QB one will be the one everyone's going to want to talk about anyway. So we'll just start. We'll probably go QB, running back, fullback, tight end, or fullback, receiver, tight end, O-line. The O-line one will be interesting because you're going to have to do research.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have to do much research on the O-line. And then we'll just flip it to the next side. D-line, linebackers, corner, safeties.
Remember, guys, any questions you have, just go ahead and ask them in the chat. Third Coast Sports TV says, shout out to Ray Ray.
Yeah, that's my boy Wink, man. yeah, I was watching. They're doing a round table on South Sports before we started, and one of the guys on there was talking about how you can't blame Bill O'Brien, and then I mean he meant to. He I know what he was trying to do. He was trying to stay positive, but. Again, I've defended Bill O'Brien for 4 years, and Wink was saying it, and a guy named Jay Dizzle that always comes to streams and stuff called in and just laid a bombshell down. It was priceless, dude. I was rolling, man. I couldn't stop laughing. Wink third coach he didn't stop laughing. I mean, you can't give Bill too much credit anymore. Unless he wins it all. If he wins it all, I'll give him his props. But until then, man, I don't trust this dude at all. And again, I gave him 4 years to prove me wrong, and I just couldn't do it. And I told you, and it's like, and we had a podcast on this, man. When he stated, I don't know what I have to do, but we have to do something. That lost me forever with Bill O'Brien. Yeah. It don't matter what he does. Unless he wins the Super Bowl, there's nothing this man will do to make me feel like he's a great coach. I don't care what players say. I don't care what anyone says.
Well, that's the thing. He's not very well liked amongst Texans fans for, I would say, the majority. But how do you not blame him at this point? Like, honestly, even if he did win a Super Bowl, I'm pretty sure there'd still be people calling for his job.
Bro. When you win 6 in a row, no matter how fluky they may be, apparently, for those fans that don't know any better, they lose their mind, man. They think he's a great coach now, and it's like, I don't know, man. One of the biggest things about channel that I've been doing for years is just keeping it honest, just putting facts out there to justify the feeling. You know what I mean? And there's nothing here that convinces me that he can out-coach the better coaches in the AFC or NFC. There's nothing there.
Yeah, I mean, again, we can keep beating the dead horse, but I'm just going to keep saying the same thing. The guy has all the personnel in the world to have one of the better passing offenses. Absolutely. And he consistently refuses to pass the ball. I don't understand it. You have DeAndre Hopkins. You now have Demaryius Thomas. You have Kiki in the slot. Who's
say his name, Cutie.
I'm not gonna. I will not call another grown man a cutie. I refuse to do it. But again, you have the wide receivers, you have some promising tight ends, the offensive line's been doing their job, and you have Deshaun Watson. And we talked about Lamar Miller, who's more effective as a pass catcher than a runner. And then you can use Deontay Foreman when he comes back, but the fact of the matter is you don't have Deontay Foreman right now.
And then you don't know what he's going to be when he gets back.
Exactly.
He may run a play and re-injure his shit again. I mean, to me, it's like what I keep thinking about is, okay, what's going to happen when we get everyone back? We have Will Fuller, we have Demaryius Thomas, and we have Kiki back. Are we still going to have the same kind of bullshit conversation of Bill still trying to run the football? I guarantee we will. So, I mean, I don't know, man.
Dennis Emmon asks in the chat, what is more important, a quarterback or a coach?
Oh, shit. That's a great question.
I mean, I would say a quarterback, because look at Tom Brady in New England. I mean, take away Bill Belichick, I honestly believe that they're still as successful as they are. And that's the key argument that I'll always point to whenever that question comes up.
You know what? I'll agree with that. And actually, I won't even say Tom Brady. I'll say Aaron Rodgers.
Oh,
you take Aaron Rodgers off the Pats, and they're abysmal.
Yeah,
they're shit stained.
Yeah,
that's as real as it gets, man.
Yeah, I think the New England, because honestly, like I'm sure people are going to disagree with me, but I believe that Bill Belichick is extremely overrated. I mean, he's not even an offensive coach; he's a defensive guy. Yeah, people forget that, and he didn't do anything in Cleveland. And when he comes to New England, he didn't win anything. When let me see, not a great coach. No, a great coach is better than a great quarterback. That is from Elver. It seems like Elver wants to disagree with us on everything we say. But go ahead, Ray. A great coach is better than a great quarterback.
He's my new Edmund.
We welcome it. We welcome it, though.
No, we do. I think it's a great question, because you could go either way if you think about it. Take our example here in Houston. I think with a better head coach, we're an echelon team that's almost destined for the Super Bowl. But then again, you take Deshaun Watson off this team, what are we? I mean, just use our team as an example.
Look at last season.
It's a hard question to answer, because it all depends on how you feel. Like, to me, right now, we have the quarterback, but the quarterback can only do so much based on what the head coach allows him to do.
I'll ask you this, Elver, in the chat. Can you name me one team that's won a Super Bowl based solely on coaching and not because of having an elite quarterback? Just solely on coaching, and that's in regards to both defense and offense, coaching both sides. Because I honestly can't, and I'll concede that I'm wrong if you can. Honestly, I will, but I can't.
Maybe Tampa Bay when Johnson won it, but he had a killer defense and work done, and I don't know, man. That's maybe Tampa Bay, but even then, it goes to your point that there's not many.
Well, okay, Elver responds, but Belichick makes it work without Tom Brady. Yeah, but he's never won a Super Bowl without Tom Brady. I mean, who was quarterback? I know his name. I can't draw it right now. Who was his
Matt Castle?
No. There was another guy who was actually one of the better quarterbacks in the league before Brady took over.
Oh, Drew Bledsoe.
What did he win with Bledsoe?
Good point.
Not a damn thing.
The Ravens. Bledsoe's pretty good.
He mentions the Ravens. Hey, Joe Flacco is no slouch. Not that season, at least.
In that season, Flacco was incredible. He hasn't been very good since, but still.
So I won't give you the Ravens argument, because Flacco had a hell of a season that year when they won the Super Bowl.
And they had a killer defense.
A very good defense.
I mean, I don't know, man. That's a great question. To me, it's
one you can debate forever.
Yeah. Well, how about this? Look at it this way. We'll go back to the Kubiak year. I don't know if you guys know this, and if Wink is still in here, he'll know exactly what I'm talking about. When Kubiak was here, Matt Schaub is his boy, but Matt Schaub only had 5 plays he could audible to. That's it.
Yeah.
Out of that laundry list stacked playbook that he would always carry on the sideline, he only was allowed to audible to 5 different plays. Period. And that's because the coach told him that's all he could do. What's there to say that maybe Deshaun Watson doesn't have the same kind of thing going on with Bill O'Brien? We honestly don't know. But I can tell you this, I don't see Deshaun audibling a lot at all. As a matter of fact, I see him getting the play, doing what he's told, and then making plays happen with his arm or with his legs. That's what I see. I don't see him pointing things out. I don't see him turning to the receivers and crossing his arms or slapping his thigh or hitting the top of his head or anything like that. Like, I don't see him doing a lot of audibles. So, again, that goes to the coaching, though, because the coaching is hampering the quarterback. I mean, you got to think, for Bill O'Brien to be this quarterback genius, again, like I've said before, every quarterback that's played under Bill O'Brien has continually gotten worse the longer they've been with him.
Yeah, and they're better when they leave.
Same.
Elver says Flacco is not Brady. Well, yeah, but the argument is what's more important, a coach or a quarterback? If you take away Joe Flacco from the Ravens that year, they win the Super Bowl. Do they win the Super Bowl? I don't think they do.
I don't think they get close. He had a killer season that year.
He did.
He was chunking it all over the place.
Yeah,
with accuracy, which was amazing for him.
And again, the same thing with Brady. Any of the years they won the Super Bowl, take Brady out of the equation. I do not believe they do. Or maybe Watson doesn't recognize the defense. Okay, so now we're shifting to a completely different topic. Watson doesn't recognize the defense. I mean,
it's possible.
It is, but honestly,
I'm sorry. If he sees 8 in the box, I'm pretty sure he can read that. If it's 1st and 10 and you see 8 people in the box, I'm willing to bet he knows that. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to believe the guy, as successful as he's been against all the colleges he ever played with and some of the defenses that he's faced in the NFL thus far, it's hard for me to say he can't recognize the defense.
Yeah.
That's a far sell for me.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, the guy, when given the opportunity to just do his thing, man, he plays tremendous.
And he's got a full season, right? Like, this game makes it his full rookie season, isn't it?
This makes it. So what do we consider him a sophomore by the time he takes the field against the Redskins?
So after the bye week, he's a vet.
Yeah. If he can read the defense, but he won't make the necessary changes, really, I'm not sure he has the permission to do that. I mean, coaches are very different with the way they handle that. Like you said, Matt Schaub only had 5 audibles. I don't know what Bill O'Brien's deal is with that.
Right.
I couldn't tell you.
I couldn't either. The only person that I've seen him give vast audible power to was Hoyer. Hoyer was the only one. Well, Savage. Hoyer and Savage were the only 2 quarterbacks that I saw that actually had the ability to do audibles at any time.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I don't have anything.
Okay. I mean, that's all we've had from Elver so far.
Okay.
But yeah. But no, honestly, like, I couldn't tell you. I honestly don't think he has the ability to do that, especially with how young he is as a rookie, basically. Right. But like I said, when given the opportunity to just do his thing, man, Watson's tremendous. And we saw that last season. You know, for the most part, Watson pretty much had free reign in those first few games before he went down, and he tore it up.
And so I want to ask you a question, and maybe people in the chat can chime in too. Does anyone ever notice that Houston's offense seemingly works better when we're in the hurry-up offense under Bill O'Brien?
Yes, but I would also say that that's just been the culture of the Texans as a whole, because even under Kubiak with a completely different team, it seems like it's always worked better in the hurry-up.
So if that's the case, then how come we don't do a lot more hurry-up in our, especially if we're struggling to find some kind of offense? I mean, is it because you don't want your defense to get more worn out than they already are? Or I don't know. I just see every time I see them go into a hurry-up offense, and I'm not talking like into the half, into the game. Mm-hmm. I'm talking those rare times where they start picking it up a bit.
Yeah.
They move the ball seemingly all the time. Mm-hmm. They did that. Hell, they did that going back all the way to Mallet Hoyer. Mm-hmm. They did it with Fitzpatrick when they were doing hurry up, was successful with it. Hell, even Savage when they did hurry-up was even successful with it. And that's saying something, by the way.
We found something we agree with Elver on because he agrees. He says yes.
Okay. Well, good. Because, I mean, in that regard, then why don't we run it more? Again, this goes back to the coaching. Like, there's the things that he should do, he does not do, and the things he should not do, he does do.
Yeah.
It's an anomaly like I've never seen. It's crazy.
And to play devil's advocate, do you think Deshaun could run the hurry-up offense?
Did you watch Clemson? You're a Clemson fan. Are you kidding me?
I believe so, but this is a completely different system.
It doesn't matter. Look, to me, I understand the system is different. I get that, but I have to say there are certain quarterbacks that thrive when they're pushed, and he's one of them.
Yep.
That's been proven over and over and over again. So to me, despite the system, he thrives in it. Why not give him the reins and let him run it? You know, this goes back to what some people on the Sauce channel were talking about. They're talking about why do you give it to someone other than Deshaun Watson when it's 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 5? Let him make a play, whether it be with his legs, with his arm, whether it's an audible. I mean, why don't you give him more reins? Like, if he's supposed to know your playbook, like you say he does, then you would trust him to do the right thing.
Yeah.
To me, it's you don't trust him if you don't give him the ball in those crucial situations. What was that? What was that quote in The Replacements? Winners always want the ball when the game is on the line. Yeah. And I believe that. Yeah. That's true for anybody. Look. I mean, you mean to tell me that they're going to take the ball to Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers' hands if they need to get in the end zone? And if it's like a 4th and 2 or 4th and 3? Are you shitting me? There's no way. There's no way they take it out of their hands, man.
In the chat, Elver says, so Hoyer and Savage had, in parentheses, permission to make adjustments, but Watson doesn't. If you ask me, he just can't. Again, Hoyer and Savage had more time in the system. They are veteran quarterbacks in the NFL. It's I don't want to say rite of passage kind of thing, but I can't think of a better term. Watson is very young in not only in the league, but in this offense. Things like that take time. And again, it's different with every coach. Every coach just has a different way of doing things. But yeah.
And to me, and look, and before I say this, I am not saying that Deshaun Watson is Peyton Manning. Let me just go there right now. What I will say, that would be like you telling Peyton Manning, this guy who is the king of audibles, and only giving him 5 plays to choose from. That to me, that's insane. Even in Peyton's first and second years when he wasn't doing well, he didn't have permission to audible to all his points and call outs and all this other crap that he would do at the line before he snapped it with 1 second left. He did that so many times in his career. It's ridiculous. And I think a lot of that had to do with him understanding that, yeah, I'll take my time. I'll read the defense. I'll snap it with 1 second left. And it's essentially like running the ball, without actually handing the ball off, but keeping it in my hand. Like, I don't know. To me, it's really difficult for me to sit here and go, yeah, Bill O'Brien has given him the reins, but he won't do it because he can't read defenses. That's reaching to me.
I think we've done a good show for today. I will end on a high note. Exactly. I play Yahoo Fantasy Football. I was projected to lose my game with a percentage of about 60. Tom Brady just passed a 55-yard touchdown pass to Josh Gordon. I am now in the lead, and I am projected to win my game by 73%. I am very happy right now, and I think that is a good way to end the show on a happy note.
Freaking schmuck.
Ray, is there anything you want to say before we end this one?
Thank you guys for coming out. Tune in next week. Our draft is going to be awesome. It's going to be interactive, so you guys can put feedback. I will put this out there, and I'm gonna say this right now, just because I know it's going to happen. every draft we're allowed 2 mulligans, meaning that we can shift a pick if we see someone that makes a pretty good argument or something we want to do or something like that. We'll have 2 mulligans. And then we'll give that subscriber and that comment credit for it. And I think that'll help out a lot because that gets you guys into the mood of drafts. And so it's gonna be a blast, man. I can't wait. You guys come out, man. Stay tuned. Please like and sub, because if you don't like and sub and hit the little belly thing, you're not gonna get the notification that we're going live on it. I'm gonna limit me going on my channel and saying, hey, by the way, go to J&J Sportscast, just basically because enough of y'all have been over here to spread the word. So tell your friends, tell your wives, tell your husbands, if you're like that, you know what I'm saying? Just let them know, hey, we don't discriminate. We welcome all. We appreciate you guys coming out.
Before we go, we've been talking about Elver. We've been interacting with him a lot. He actually says, and you might recognize this, Ray, I'm Rick James. I just changed my name.
Oh, fuck.
I'm guessing you recognize who that is.
Yeah, I know who it is now.
Does it make more sense? Right. Does it make more sense now?
No, fair enough. It's all good, man. I don't even care if Edmund comes on.
Oh, man. All right. Well, guys, thanks for watching. I'm John Fuentes. I am a writer over at TexansWire.com. Please go there for all your Texans news. Like Ray already mentioned, sub. We are on iTunes. If you miss a show and you want to re-listen, we are on iTunes. You can find us on iTunes at J&J Houston Sportscast. We are also
and SoundCloud.
We are also on SoundCloud if you listen through SoundCloud as well. So please just help us out. The more you like and sub, the better we can make the show. So thanks, guys, for your support, and we will be back next week. We will do our fantasy draft. We'll talk some Rockets. We'll talk some Astros. We'll preview the Washington game. But with that being said, guys, thanks for listening, and we are out.
Peace and elbow grease.